So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming this evening. It's so exciting to see the love in the room for Hal Roach's Our Gang. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And say hello to our voice of God, our Director of Operations, Steve Nicklemo. Tonight we celebrate the 100th anniversary of Hal Roach's Our Gang for an entertaining and educational exhibit, including some never-before-seen costumes, props, including several Our Gang employment contracts, especially compiled in honor of this 100th anniversary celebration of Our Gang. Now, I'm going off script. Many of you know, once upon a time I was a school teacher. I have eyes in the back of my head as well as the front of my head. And you will all receive demerits for those of you that are talking. And Captain Elaine Morales is here from LAPD, and she will help me with this. Elaine, you didn't realize you were enlisted for some important work tonight. So, you know, Our Gang and the Little Rascals was created by film producer Hal Roach, who produced the films of Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chase, Carol Boyd, Will Rogers, Harry Langdon, Thelma Todd, Zazu Pitts, and Patsy Kelly. That's just to name a few of his stars. Our Gang chronicled a group of poor neighborhood children and their adventures. Our Gang was all about chronicling the adventures of these children and their dog. I think Petey is over there. Behaving naturally like children, getting into innocent trouble and having fun. Hal Roach's series also broke new ground by portraying white and black children interacting as equals during the Jim Crow era of racial segregation in the United States. I think this started 100 years ago with Our Gang. Children playing together. It's wonderful. It's hard to believe that all of this did happen 100 years ago, since that first short film, One Terrible Day, was released in 1922. With the ever-popular Our Gang shorts being produced from 1922 to 1944, spanning the silent film era through sound film periods of American cinema, Hal Roach's films today continue to entertain many generations of viewers, from children to adults. Tonight, as we gather here for our special evening celebrating the 100th anniversary of Our Gang, the Hollywood Museum's radio show, Hollywood Hidden Treasure, showcasing is showcasing tonight Hal Roach's Our Gang and this new exhibit with fun insights. We had great conversations with Leonard Maltin and Richard W. Bann, Sidney Kibrick, and Bob Satterfield. And would you believe it's being broadcast right now as we speak on KABC 790 Talk Radio. So thank you, gentlemen, for an enjoyable remembrance of our Hal Roach and Our Gang on the radio, and for once again joining us for this important evening. Thank you. Now, before I begin, where is Bob Satterfield? Where is Bob Satterfield? Bob? Oh, of course, it's one of those Academy Award moments. Okay, let me know when he returns. I have something very special to tell him. So, as the honorary mayor of Hollywood, our dear friend Johnny Grant taught me, it's now time to introduce tonight's celebrities, VIPs, and supporters of the Hollywood Museum. And I ask that you please hold your applause until all of this evening's celebrities have been introduced. First off, we have Addison Randall, director of East LA Warriors and Shotgun, Allison Arngram, Nasty Nellie from Little House on the Prairie, Andrew Burton, director of All the Lord's Men, Anne Elizabeth, radio host, Anne Elizabeth's Tonight, Barbara Luna from Star Trek, Brenda Mahia, Lost City, Legal Weapon 3, Bridget Marquardt, The Girls Next Door, Scary Movie 4, and Secrets of Playboy. I see you right there, I see you. And Bryson Robinson, winner of Young Artist Award, Young Entertainer Award, and Donnie's Bar Mitzvah. Kathy Garber from Family Affair. I saw you somewhere, Kathy, I know you're here. Chloe Noel from New Girl, Connor Dean, Young Entertainer nominee, and 911. Connor, I saw you. You're so tall, I see you right there.
Bob Satterfield.
Where's Bob?
He's walking. He's coming.
Okay, Bob, come on over here.
Run, Bob, run.
I'm running.
We have Diana Lansley from Days of Our Lives, Dee Wallace, E.T., the extraterrestrial. You don't have to go on that stage.
Way up there?
No, right. Denise Doherty from Payback and Hollowgate, Elaine Ballas from Camp Elaine. Elaine, I just saw you. Erin Murphy, I know you're here. Tabitha from Bewitched. Eunice David, the Nexium Agency. Jeffrey Marr, Emmy and Grammy nominated. You are fabulous, I have to tell you, and a best-selling author. Hunter Payton, winner of the Young Artist Award and Young Entertainer Award, actor in Disney Channel's Raven's Home. Iran Daniel, Emmy winner, talk show host, and news anchor. Isabella Blake Thomas, Disney Plus channels, Secret Society of Second Born Royals. Jean Roach, where are you, Jean?
Right there.
There you are. Jeannie Roach, Hal Roach's daughter. So exciting. Jeremy Miller from Growing Pains. I saw you, Jeremy. I know you're here. And Jim Meskimen from Gaslit and the Big Door Prize. Jim, welcome. We have John Sparano, the Emmy nominee writer, he now has a new film that he's working on, The Making of Stanley Kramer's Defiant Ones. And by the way, our gang's Alfalfa, in this display case, Carl Switzer, was featured in the original Defiant Ones. So this ought to be very interesting. You know what they say in Hollywood, it's less than 6 degrees of separation. And Casey Fifield, actress of Nickelodeon's Game Strikers, Click Wars, and singer-songwriter for The Last Breath and Confidential. Karen Sharp Kramer, winner of the Golden Globe Award and the wife of Stanley Kramer. You were right here a moment ago. Where did you go? There you are. Fabulous. And Kat Kramer, actress and producer, daughter of Stanley Kramer. Welcome. Kathy Cola, Plastic Dreams. Keith Coogan from Toy Soldiers and the grandson of Jackie Coogan. Kim Carafe, The Sound of Music. Kim, I know you're here. I see you. And Leonard Maltin, film critic and film extraordinaire. Matthew Carpenter, producer of Party Down and Eye Candy. All right. And Mark Wanamaker, historical author and founder of Bison Archives. Where's Mark? I know he's got a hat on. Hey, you're waving it in the air. Thank you so much, Mark. And Marcello Reyes from Modern Family. Nancy Harding, God's Not Dead, We the People, Cheaper by the Dozen. Nicholas Carpenter, director, horror anthology, The Telling and Eyes. That's right. Olivia Diebel, Disney Plus channel, Secret Society of Second Born Royals. Presley Reese, Fanny, American Housewife. Rochelle Royale, Mid-Century, recording artist. Richard W. Bann, film historian, and of course, a great author. Now you know Richard and Leonard Maltin have written the consummate book about our gang and Little Rascals. And if you listen to the radio show that's on tonight, I'm sure that you can find it again, and you'll hear all about it. It's extraordinary. And of course, that book, you cannot find it on a bookshelf. If you're lucky, you can wait a month and maybe get a used copy. It's so popular. Wow, you guys, amazing. Luda Lee, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and so much more. And I know you're in the corner between Ghostbusters and the Pointer Sisters. And she has a seat of honor. There you go. Sam Humphrey was Colonel Thumb from The Greatest Show on Earth. Welcome. Sean Ryan Peterson, voiceover and on-camera actor for PBS's Ollie. Shabnam Islam for Peeled. Stanley Livingston for My 3 Sons. Where are you, Stanley? Just right here. Perfect. Tyrone DuBose from Unsung, Vanessa Angel, Kingpin, Super Babies, Geniuses 2, Victoria Savage, Tale of a Corporate Slave, and Power Rangers. So now we can applaud for all of these people. So you're all probably wondering why I asked ask Bob Satterfield to come stand with me. And it's for a very big thank you for our Hal Roach 100th anniversary of our game to our exhibit organizer, Bob Satterfield. Now, Bob, I have something special to tell you. We need your help tonight to solve a mystery. Sean, where are you? Sean Lockwood. This man in the back is waving. His grandfather was in our gang, and he needs some help locating some film on him or a photograph. He is going to come and find you and ask for you to help him with that.
See what I can do.
Great, because you're all friends of the museum, so I think that will be fun.
If I had a nickel for every story like that, though, I could retire a long time ago.
Did you hear that, Bob? Says if I had a nickel for every story like this, I could have retired a long time ago. But you know, Bob Satterfield, speaking of long time, has a long history organizing all things Hal Roach. Many of you may remember Bob was the guiding light who called on all of his friends, collectors, and actors for the Hollywood Museum special exhibit in 2014 for 100 Years of Hal Roach Studios, celebrating Laurel Hardy, our gang, and Harold Lloyd, in honor of Hollywood icon Hal Roach's centennial celebration. And this year, Bob is the museum's exhibit curator for our new 100th anniversary of our gang exhibit. Bob, your work side by side with our Director of Operations, Steve Nickelmo, is amazing. And I hope everyone here tonight really enjoys it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's give a very big thank you and a hand to Bob Satterfield. So tonight we have some very special speakers. We are thrilled to have two well-known authors and recognized film historians who have tremendous followings with several generations of Hollywood enthusiasts. Together they have written a quintessential book on Hal Roach's Our Gang, Little Rascals, entitled Our Gang, The Life and Times of the Little Rascals, originally published in 1977. Updated in 1992 with numerous printings, as we just spoke about throughout the years. This book is so popular that you can't keep a copy of any of its editions in stock, whether it be virtually on the internet or on bookshelves in brick and mortar bookstores. Leonard Maltin is one of the most recognized and respected film critics, authors, and historians of our time. Leonard spent 30 years in the spotlight on television's Entertainment Tonight. He enjoys teaching a popular class at USC School of Cinematic Arts and appears regularly on Turner Classic Movies. Leonard is only the third person to receive Turner Classic Movies' prestigious Robert Osborne Award, which was presented to him this year by Warren Beatty. Wow. Leonard was also named by the Library of Congress to sit on the board of directors of the National Film Preservation Foundation. And most recently, Leonard Maltin was invited to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Please welcome Leonard Maltin.
First, I have to get up here. Hi, everybody. Another word about Bob Satterfield. This is a guy who loves these movies so much that he will go to the ends of the earth to celebrate them and to celebrate the people who made them, the people who appeared in them. And he seeks nothing in return except your enthusiasm, which is really contagious when you're around Bob. He's a great guy. And the museum is lucky to have recruited him to do this exhibit. Little did I know, growing up watching what I knew as the Little Rascals on TV every single day of my life, that I would wind up writing a book in partnership with Dick Bann or that I would have a career of any kind involving film history. I just knew I loved these comedies. And I didn't so much watch them as inhale them, because there are a finite number of them, and then they would rerun and rerun and rerun. So I knew them all by heart. I ingested them, and I've never gotten tired of them. And now I teach a class at USC where I have about 300 students in the auditorium, and I show every semester a bunch of old short subjects of various kinds, and I always show our gang comedy, and it always plays great. I don't have to apologize for it. I don't have to say this is 85 years old. You gotta, understand times are different. It's about the kids. It's about the characters and situations, and it's about human nature. And that's what Hal Roach understood as well as anybody in Hollywood history, is that what's funny, what's based on the truth of life and human nature and interaction, stays funny. And I think that there will be people 100 years from now still watching and enjoying our gang films. I'm very happy to be here tonight. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Leonard. It's just amazing when you think about it. College kids, or young adults now is what they're called, can appreciate and enjoy the humor that was out there 85 plus years ago. They can enjoy it. I think that's wonderful that you've been able to share that with us. Now, Leonard Maltin and Richard W. Bann have worked together, not only on the book that we just talked about, but on the VHS release of the Hal Roach Studio library of films, including Our Gang, and the DVD release, and now Richard is working on the current Blu-ray release. Richard W. Bann is a recognized historian and author. While writing a book on Laurel and Hardy, Richard interviewed almost everyone at the Hal Roach Studios, both in front of and behind the cameras, who lived in the mid-1960s. I mean, that must have been a lot of people. He's shaking his head. But Richard says he is forever at work on two books, the authorized biography of Hal Roach and Movies at the Mansion, the Playboy Mansion, that is. For the past 30 years, Richard has worked on and continues to work on all aspects of the Lone Pine Film Festival, where Richard enjoys conducting a popular tour of the cattle ranch where so many great B-westerns were shot, especially the 1935 pilot film for the Paramount series Hop Along Cassidy. Richard is currently involved in the creation and presentation of a Blu-ray version of Hop Along Cassidy, a library of 66 feature films, and 52 TV episodes. Please welcome tonight, Richard W. Bann. Dick Bann.
Thank you, Donelle. Leonard and I were interviewed by Donelle for her Hollywood Treasure show on KBC, which runs tonight at 8 o'clock. And I made the point that the Hollywood Museum is the best kept secret in Hollywood. And I discovered that when I was helping Bob Satterfield put on the Hal Roach Studios exhibit here in connection with the 2014 Sons of the Desert International Convention. And I want to say about Bob, no one has done more for Hal Roach Studios alumni to count on both sides of the camera, and I mean before and after they died, than Bob Satterfield.
Here, here.
Bob organized the 2014 convention, but he also organized the 1980 convention, the second Sons of the Desert International Convention, and the greatest gathering of Hal Roach Studios alumni ever assembled. And some of us here tonight remember that wonderful week 42 years ago. Maria and Jeannie's parents, Hal and Lucille Roach, came, and Hal was particularly looking forward to meeting Alan Hoskins there, who was coming down from Oakland to attend. Mr. Hoskins was known as Sonny around the Hal Roach Studios lot, and in shooting scripts as well. But he was Farina in the Our Gang comedies, where he appeared in more series entries, 106, than any other Our Ganger in history. Then nearing age 60, however, Farina suddenly died of cancer, right before the convention, where he had planned to be part of an Our Gang reunion. I think his funeral was the very day of this reunion. Now, Hal sent flowers on a condolence card, which I've seen, addressed to, quote, my favorite actor, which he meant, as Farina really was, the kid that Hal Roach liked the best in that series. And I want to quote something Hal told me about Farina, a little story that's not in our book, not in either edition. Quote, and this is Hal Roach speaking. In the early days of the Our Gang movies, 2 or 3 kids would be around the table, and the little girl, Mary Cornman, was supposed to drink a glass of milk, but she tips the glass over. It spills on another kid. Well, normally you would cut and do that scene over again. But in the silent days, the director, Bob McGowan, would say, oh, and keep on going, because the things that were happening were being funny naturally, which was what you wanted. Organized play, with regular kids making their own fun. You could get 2 or 3 funny situations that were not in the script because of these accidents. I remember years ago with Farina, he would pick up a hose, and parenthetically, the film in question is in Fast Company, 1924, when Farina was the youngest kid in the gang. He would pick up a hose and it would squirt, and pick up something and it would get in his face. And anytime it didn't work, because it was mechanical, a mechanical gag, McGowan would fire somebody in the crew, saying that it was their fault. After the scene was over, the other kids would go over and say, hey, you got this guy fired. If you go over and ask Mr. McGowan nicely, I think he will hire him back again. Farina would go over to Bob McGowan and ask him nicely, and McGowan would rehire the guy. I was walking through the set one day, and they were having trouble. They had a vacuum cleaner. It was supposed to blow out dust, and it didn't. They tried it over and over, and it didn't work. McGowan had fired 3 or 4 people already. He stopped and he said, Hal, wait a minute. I said, yeah, what do you want? He said, I may have to fire you. They did the thing over, and it still didn't work. So McGowan fired me. And after the scene was over, they went to Farina and said, that man that you got fired, that's where all the money comes from around here. If we don't get him hired back, we won't get any money. So Farina went to McGowan and asked him to hire Hal Roach back so that they could all be paid. McGowan agreed to take me back, end quote. Now, one more thing I want to add. This is some Our Gang news. As Donelle said, I've been working with this company, Classic Flicks, and so has Leonard. And next year they will release a Blu-ray covering the silent era. They're doing a centennial collection this year. Next year will be the silent films, which is a huge undertaking. And just yesterday, I was able to screen a silent Our Gang comedy that was never exhibited theatrically or on television in this country, ever. Woo! And that short will be in this collection. So I thank you for coming, and I'm glad you're all fans of the Our Gang comedies. For the 2014 convention that Bob did a great exhibit here, I brought in an array of about 15 or 20 Hal Roach Studios one-sheet posters, huge 27 by 41 one-sheets. We don't have those this time, but I did contribute 4 contracts. One, in fact, that's too long a story to tell. A Jackie Cooper contract, a Matthew Stanley Beard contract, Spanky McFarlands contract, and one contract that's really special. This series was built around a black actor named Ernie Morrison. They called him Sunshine Sammy. And Hal Roach Studios signed Ernie Morrison to the first motion picture term contract in the history of Hollywood. And that contract is here. It's a carbon original. And they knew it was important at the time because they took a picture. You can see the picture of Hal Roach sitting at his desk in his office with Ernie Morrison and Ernie's father standing behind him signing this contract 100 years ago. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Richard. You know, that was a great socio-history lesson. It was great. Thank you. So important to recognize that the museum is built on family, and so many of our collectors come year after year, exhibit after exhibit, to participate. And that's what makes the Hollywood Museum great. We have got a great family of collectors, historians, educators, entertainers, you name it, they're all here. And I think that's what's helped us to create these wonderful exhibits, so thank you. Next up, we have Stanley Livingston. Now, we know Stanley Livingston. He's known to several generations of faithful classic TV followers when he played the teenage heartthrob Richard Chip Davis on the popular 60s show, My Three Sons. How many remember that show? I do. All us little girls, I'm giggling with Jean Roche. All us little girls wish we had a big brother like you. Stanley has a special story to share with us tonight involving a former child star and original gang member, Jackie Cooper, and Hollywood's makeup king, Max Factor. Please welcome Stanley Livingston.
So you're probably wondering, how am I connected to this place, the museum? Well, a long time ago, in 1960, when I was cast in My Three Sons to play the part of Chip, I don't know how many of you can remember back that far, but I was a little kid with blonde hair. And the first season, I had blonde hair. The second season, I had blonde hair. And in between the second and the third season, I got a little older and puberty struck. My hair started turning darker, and went in to meet the producers again before, and they were, oh my God, you don't look like you did when we hired you. And I was kind of freaked out. I thought I was going to be fired, so they said, we got to fix this. So the solution was to send me here, you go downstairs. You go downstairs, that first room when you walk in on the right, the makeup rooms, that's where I went on Saturday afternoons. They decided they were going to dye my hair blonde. And I didn't know what they were going to do to it, but there was such a thing called hydrogen peroxide. Anybody ever hear of that one? It's kind of like putting gasoline on your head and then setting it on fire. Anyway, every Saturday I had to come here and endure that so my hair would be blonde. And we did that for the whole year. Season 4 came about, and I said to my parents, if I have to do that again, I quit. So they called the producers and said, he's not doing that again. You either take him the way he is or he quits. So if you notice in season 4, I don't have blonde hair anymore. Anyway, I'll be also wondering, how does Chip from My Three Sons have anything to do with our gang or the Little Rascals? Well, I was a normal little kid when I wasn't working. I was home and watching TV in the afternoons and the mornings with our gang, the Little Rascals were on. like any little kid, I enjoyed that.
Mike's trying to fix it.
What's that?
Mike's not working.
Oh, the mic's not working.
I think you need to pull the mic back a little bit. You
You
have
can hear
to,
me better?
don't have the mic so close to your mouth.
I'll just talk louder.
Say no,
That-
Louise.
That works. Anyway, I would watch that in my, They inspired me to form my own Little Rascal bands for all the kids who lived in my apartment building, which was probably only a couple blocks from here. I lived in Hollywood at Wilcox and Lexington Avenue at that time, and for about 5 years we raised hell in the neighborhood. So I probably owe my entire career to the Little Rascals. How this came about was when I first started in the industry. I was probably about 1956. Started in movies, TV. I ended up on Ozzie and Harriet. And when we weren't shooting, I was a precocious little kid. I'd go wandering off and walk onto other people's sound stages to see what they were doing. I walked onto one of them, and they had a horse there. And I remember I followed the trainer out back. And he said, "Hey, how would you like to learn how to brush this horse out?" And gave me the brushes, and I did that. And gave me some carrots, fed carrots to the horse. Well, I didn't know it, but that was Mr. Ed. So that was kind of interesting. I watched him on TV, and then I thought, well, gosh, if they got an animal on this show, they must have other ones around here. So I walked across the street, and there was another sound stage that had a basset hound. So I went over there and made friends with the trainer, a guy named Frank, who I'd come to know later. He was actually the animal handler on my three sons for Tramp. Anyway, I was playing with this dog, the basset hound, and one day this enormous guy came over to me, and he was enormous to me, and said, "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I came over to visit this dog." And he said, "Well, what's your name?" And I remember my parents always told me when you meet an adult, stick out your hand. I said, "My name's Stanley Livingston, and no wisecracks, please." So he started laughing. We stood there talking for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then he said, "Is your mom around?" And I remember I thought, "Am I in trouble?" And he said, "No, but I would like to meet your mom." So I brought him back to the Ozzie and Harriet set, introduced him to my mom, and when I introduced him to her, she was all pie-eyed, and I didn't get what it was all about, but I watched them from a distance. They talked for about 15 minutes. He finally walked away, and anyway, the gentleman was Jackie Cooper. And that was probably about August. Next thing I knew, in December, he wrote a TV pilot for me called Skippy. And we shot it at General Service. And I guess he saw some of himself in me. I looked kind of like him. And in 1931, he did a feature film called Skippy. I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but like Shirley Temple, Jackie Cooper was the other big child star of those days. But Skippy, 1931, he went on to be nominated for an Academy Award, not for Best Supporting Actor, but Best Actor. And he is still the youngest person to hold that position since 1931. And the director, Norman Torok, won the Academy Award for Skippy. So he got the idea to do a TV series out of that show, and saw me and thought I was cute and reminded me of him. So we shot it. Unfortunately, the pilot never sold. I was under a contract with Jackie, who became a lifelong friend of mine after that. But the reel was very important in my career. My agent or my mom would go to him and borrow that 16mm reel, rent a theater after midnight. This is well before actors had demo reels on videotape or DVD. You had to have film, you had to go rent a theater, and you rented a projectionist to show it after midnight. So because of that, I ended up in the movie Please Don't Eat the Daisies and a couple other films back then. But the big one was, it was shown to the producers of a new show that they were trying to cast called My Three Sons. They saw it, and the next day I got hired as Chuck Douglas. And 12 years later, who knew? But had I not met Jackie Cooper, I wouldn't be here tonight. So thank you very much.
So thank you, Stanley. I have to tell you, you know the old adage, 6 degrees of separation? But with you, with Jackie Cooper, Max Factor, and our gang, it's just like 2 degrees of separation. So thanks for sharing that story with us. Next up, representing the Roach family, is Hal Roach's oldest daughter, Maria. And Maria will share with us some wonderful stories about what it was like growing up Roach. And Maria, please call out all of your family that are with us here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Maria Roach.
First of all, it occurs to me that most hostesses would not brag about having roaches.
You have to say it again. Say it again.
You think I should say it again? So Donelle, our hostess, it made me think when I heard her with the introduction, most hostesses would not brag about having roaches at their party. But we've grown up with that name, and there's been a lot of seasons at least. First of all, I want to thank the Hollywood Museum and Donelle and her staff for putting this wonderful exhibit together, and certainly to all the donors and collectors who have shared their treasures with the museum and made it available for, I'm sure, thousands of people who love the art gang and the Little Rascals, who bring so many good memories back. And that's our story too. We grew up in Beverly Hills, which we thought was just another place where we grew up. And there were 3 of us. And next door, the director John Farrell and his wife Maureen O'Sullivan lived. And they had 7 children. Of course, after school, the first thing we did after taking off our school uniforms was put on our little shabby poor kids' clothes, just like the art gang. And we would have our own gang. We, despite having nannies who never had a clue where we were, terrorized our neighborhood. In fact, Donelle told me she lived across the street and up a block, and her mother did not allow her to ride her bike past our house because so much naughtiness was always going on. It was a wonderful way to grow up. And of course, our favorite show was, and we called them the Little Rascals. We wanted to be the Little Rascals. We wanted to have a gang. We had a clubhouse. Interestingly, thinking about what I would say tonight, we idolized the boys. And thinking about it, the girls really weren't the stars of the show, which I guess in today's PC correctness is something that I have to think about. But the boys were so cool, and they were so creative. And we even had a dog who was a Labrador Retriever, who was RP, and she dragged us around in a wagon, towed us around in a boat in the swimming pool, and one year helped us with the Farrell kids tour the alleys of Beverly Hills and collect about 35 old discarded Christmas trees, which we dragged into our yard so we could make a super fort. Needless to say, the gardener quit. And our dad was not, he was older to be a dad of 3 young children, and probably if our mother had disappeared one day, he wouldn't have known where to pick us up at school. But his work spoke from his heart. We loved watching, of course, Little Rascals was our favorite, but also his other work was just so magical for us. Talking to my sister about this the other day, she reminded me that even though our mother tried to explain to us that before we were born, our father was responsible for all of these movies and the Little Rascals, we thought that when the title card came on the TV and it said, Hal Roach Presents, we thought it said that because it was his TV. So, we really didn't know how special it was so much later in life. But once again, thank you all for being here tonight and everyone who's contributed to this on behalf of, you asked me to introduce the rest of the family. Hal Roach has a bunch of grandchildren. 4 here are here tonight. My sons, Matthew Nicholas Carpenter, Jeannie's son Justin Robertson, his grandson Addison Randall had to leave, but he was here. And we also have another sister in Montana with 3 more grandchildren. So the legacy lives on. Some of us have worked in the film business, and which is also a stumbling block, because when people would say, "Oh, Roach, was Hal Roach your father?" And I would say yes, and number one, they immediately would think I didn't need a job. But also some said, "Oh, I tried to get a job on that lot, and I never kept through the door." Anyway, thank you again for coming.
Thank you, Maria, for those wonderful remembrances of your childhood. That's wonderful. Next up, we have Sidney Kibrick. He is a well-recognized child actor who appeared in more than 50 film shorts. And as Loin, how did I do, Leonard? Did I get the pronunciation right?
Just right.
Just right, Leonard said, okay. He played Loin in Our Gang film shorts and series for an 10-year period or more, from 1933 to 1943. Sid is one of the few surviving original cast members of Our Gang series. And I'd like to share with you all that for more than 40 years, Sidney is an extremely successful real estate developer. We'll have to ask you, what is your secret? So please welcome Loin, Sidney Kibrick.
Yeah.
Well, it's really nice to be remembered, I must tell you. I started my career in the motion picture industry at age 5. I was Shirley Temple's leading man at Educational Studios. I made 2 films with Shirley Temple. She tried her best to try to teach me how to dance. I couldn't do it. But anyway, Shirley went on to 20th Century Fox and became a superstar. And Hal Roach saw me and signed me up for the Little Rascals, the Our Gang comedies at the time. And basically, Hal Roach was a genius. I mean, he did so many wonderful things, silent and movies, as well as going on in the 30s and 40s and going up all the way. But Hal called me into his office when he signed me up, and he said, "I'm trying to figure out what I should do with you." And I said, "You don't know?" And he says, "Well," he said, "I think I have a situation where I want 2 kids to be really, really tough kids. Can you be tough?" And I said, "I think so." He said, "Well, give me a tough expression." I gave him a tough expression. He says, "You'll do." And I went on to work with the gang for 7 years at Hal Roach, and then 4 years more at MGM. And my relationship with the other gang members was just fun. First of all, we went to school for 2 hours every morning with Mrs. Carter. And then we worked, and there was no restriction. We could work 6 hours, we could work 8 hours, sometimes we could work 14 hours, because there was no restrictions in those days as far as how much you could work. When our director, who was Gordon Douglas, wanted to finish a movie, he wanted to stay with it, and we really had to continue. But like my relationship with Hal Roach was very special. You know, he had Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chase on the lot, and though I could remember every other day, Charlie Chase would come in, or Laurel and Hardy would come in to watch us act. They loved the Little Rascals. They really did. Hal Roach was very, very special for the simple reason that he had this vision about what entertainment should be. And he really, really projected it beautifully in everything that he did with Laurel Hardy, Charlie Chase, and our gang comedies. So I owe a lot to Hal Roach. Today, I can honestly say I'm amazed. I get 4 or 5 fan mails a week from Germany, from Japan, from kids there. But the fan mail I get from the United States are grown-ups because they grew up watching the Little Rascals, but they're now in their 30s and 40s, and they really, really relate to the Little Rascals and our gang comedies. So it is really a real pleasure to get this fan mail, and what they say about, in the fan mail they'll say there's a particular scene that you were going, and you were picking on Alfalfa, and how you did this was so beautiful that it was just amazing. Can you explain it in this letter to me? So basically, I have a lot of great memories about my acting career, and very, very special about Hal Roach and the Roach Studio. In 1938, we moved to MGM. And at MGM, there was a son-in-law of Louis B. Mayer, which is George Sidney. And Louis B. Mayer said, look, George Sidney, if you want to be a director, you start with the art gang with the Little Rascals. So he was our director for 3 years, and he became a top director. I don't know if that he honed his real talent with the Little Rascals or not, but basically he became a very successful director. I loved what I did. I enjoyed it from age 5 to age 11, and but at that time, you know, it was work. So at that time, I was really ready to give it up. My mother didn't want me to give it up because she liked the money coming in. I was earning $750 a week when I worked. That was a lot of money in those days. And basically, it was something that I enjoyed doing as far as the art gang comedies, but I developed friendships. I was very close to Spanky. We went on for many, many years together. He lived in Texas, and I lived in Beverly Hills at the time, and we used to stay with each other and really enjoy each other's company. And he always felt that he never got his true due because he started the art gang comedy. Spanky was really, really important. But actually, Alfalfa came in and became popular, and that bothered Spanky a lot. But I enjoyed my career. I had a great time. I think this celebration here is absolutely marvelous. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has one. But other than that, I must tell you, I really am happy that I was part of the Doin gang. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So thank you, Sidney, and I have to say, he mentioned Mrs. Carter. Well, Mrs. Carter was the school teacher for all of the key art gang players. And Mrs. Fern Carter had a habit of wanting to collect autographs of the key Our Gang players. And so if you look over here in the display, you'll see a blanket that has been embroidered. It is each child's signature. And Sidney, yours is there too. And I suggest that you all take a look at it today. And she's done some embroidery in pink, but each child's signature has been embroidered in their own cursive style of writing. So thanks for that insight about Mrs. Carter. It was fun to be able to say we have something here from Mrs. Carter. So I want to thank you all for joining us this evening for this special tribute of the 100th anniversary of Hal Roach's Our Gang. And, you know, we ask that you promote the museum with your selfies and photos that you're taking by hashtagging the Hollywood Museum. And we hope that you will return with your friends to check out the rest of the Hollywood Museum. We showcase more than 10,000 authentic show business treasures, spotlighting 100 years of Hollywood history. There is something for everyone here at the Hollywood Museum. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And we thank you all for being an important part of our Hollywood Museum family. Thank you so much.
We gotta keep this area clear.
Yeah, just a quick pan, that's all.
Okay. We're gonna put you right here. Here. Yep, right here. Move in as tight as you can, guys. You guys get real close together. We're doing the speakers. I know. Make sure you can see the Oscar. Yes. Point to the Oscar. Yes. Yes, there we go. Got it.
I want someone not pointing to the Oscar also. Bill, can you get that?
Okay, right here.
Shots without pointing to the Oscar.
Okay, everybody look right here, please. Big smiles, yes. Beautiful. Big smiles, good. Okay, Bill.